So guys, welcome to this space. So excited to be here. My name is Henrike and I'm here as the official representative of Krishna Village. And I have the honor to introduce one of my dearest friends, which is Adria Ellis, who is our facilitator today for this first ever Krishna Village Masterclass. And you can keep your eyes peeled. We're going to probably run them about twice a month in the future if everything goes as we have planned. So let me introduce Adria to you. Other than being a really fantastic friend of many years and being a very much loved and appreciated facilitator at Krishna Village for a couple of years now, Adria is the mastermind behind the fusion acupressure method. So how she got there was that she, from a very young age, actually had a really deep interest in alternative healing methods and alternative like modalities. So she was writing to me a quick little snippet about it. And the way she got into it first was at 14 years old, when she was living back in Canada, she got her dad to get her a one-day class of acupressure in return for mowing his 3-acre lawn. That's commitment like we like it. Fantastic. And this is something that was when she was 14 years old, which is quite a while ago. And then over the following 20 years, she did a lot of training in different modalities. So she has a university degree in anthropology and social science, has worked from floristry to advertising and all sorts of different careers, but always had this love for the alternative methods, and has studied kinesiology, Reiki, massage, transpersonal psychology, became an acupressure teacher and did the training in the US. Medical Qigong therapy is on the list as well. And out of all these different modalities, and with really strong sense of intuition she has then wrapped them all into one and developed the fusion acupressure method. So that which you all love, those who have already attended the courses, and that which you are here for. Very fascinating work. And she is a master of her art and her craft. So I'm very excited to hear her class today about acupressure for love. And we are going to start. And it looks like, Adria, just so you know, looks like your video is frozen there again for a second. So you might want to hit whatever you did before to get that. Now it's back. Fantastic. So we'll take ourselves off the screen as well, Danielle, and then enjoy the class with Adria. Have a fantastic time. I'll see you again later.
Thank you, Henrika. Beautiful. Well, it made me kind of sweaty thinking about that. What a beautiful way to introduce my work to everyone. So as I was beginning to think about how to bring this workshop together, one of the questions I had in my mind was, why would you say yes? Why would you sign up to this webinar? And I was going to ask if you could just quickly in the chat write a few reasons as to how come this workshop or this webinar inspired you. And we're doing this for two reasons. One, when we realize why we're saying yes, then all of a sudden we're beginning to notice our intention. And two, it's helping me as a facilitator know how to meet you best moving forward. So Rachel, you're a breathwork facilitator, and you like to deepen your experience with clients. Beautiful. More self-care. I want to get a taste of this. I'm interested in acupressure. Yes. I love all of these answers so far. Thank you. So I'm going to begin by sharing my screen here with you, and it should change the view slightly. Oops. How do I move all of you over there? Right. Can you see my slideshow here okay? Just one thumbs up maybe that I can see. Yes, okay, lovely. Danielle, would you mind seeing if you could mute the phone icon that's here? Thank you. So enjoy learning. Yes, Dan, you as well. And the reason why we ask what interests you in a workshop, what brings you here, is it really begins to set our intention, what it is that you want to get from this. So if you enjoy learning, then right off the bat, we have an opportunity to really sink in to this experience with learner mind, which is a real gift for us. I'm surprised that no one wrote because they want to open their heart to love. So I'm going to just assume that because the workshop's on love, there's a little bit of interest there. So let's take a moment to define what is love, in fact. And again, just writing a few words into the chat. What does love mean to you? How would you define love? Open heart. Yes, Laura, I agree. Soft. That's the feeling of love for sure. I know, Karen, the phone's not on mute. Danielle, are you able to try to mute that phone for us, please? Connection to self, deep connection, expansion, serenity, and safety. Love is the power of the universe. So we can feel how love evokes all of these other experiences. And it's quite amazing, really, because in cultures like ancient Greek, there were multiple words for love. In Sanskrit, something like 96 words. In Persian, we have about 80 different words for love. And what I'm noticing in the chat here is kind of what we have to do in English. Because we only have one word for love, we use different descriptive words to understand the experience. Security, safety, openness, warmth, tenderness, devotion, attachment. Oh my God, I want to lean right in. Doesn't it sound beautiful? So when we have these different experiences of love, empathy, yes, Karen, I love that, and serenity. The tricky thing with the English language is we then also have to identify who or what are we attaching love to? Is it love of a child? Is it love of your brother? Is it love of your lover? Is it love of God? Is it love of a place? I love New York. Well, not really. I prefer Byron Bay. But there's this question, not only what do you feel for love? Well, I think someone spoke, but I didn't quite hear you. Did someone speak to me there? No. Not only what is love, but how do we attach love? And it's a really important piece in this dance of understanding it. And some people already spoke a little bit to this, but love is defined as an intense feeling of affection. What do you notice in your body even as we slow down and begin to lean into this idea of an intense feeling of affection? Because understanding love conceptually is one thing, but experiencing love is something completely different. I want us to all take a moment and imagine that you were able to feel love. Imagine for a moment that you were in love or somewhere you loved. And just see what happens in your body. And if you want to write that experience into the chat as taking this idea of love and then the experience of love, what happens for you? If you imagine or allow yourself to think of someone you love, what happens for you? There's a softening, Kirsty, warmth, joyful, an overwhelming sense of warmth. Like it's so grand, it almost feels overwhelming. I've got goosebumps. Expansiveness, peace. Right. Oh, I feel like my heart's wide open, perhaps because I've been practicing these pressure points before the workshop. Flowing and softness, a smiling heart. So this is how come we want to experience love. This is the calling right here. Once we take love through the filter of the body, we're all there. We're all wanting it. Now, a little bit less pleasant. And I don't want you to necessarily embody this, so we'll just keep it from an observer perspective. But what happens in contrast if you have ever felt heartache? How does heartache show up in the body? A loss of a relationship, a loss of a friendship, the death of someone you love, perhaps, the ending of a dream, pain, Karen, yes. How else does it show up in your body? Do you notice? Can't eat, a heaviness, a stabbing, a disconnected feeling? Yeah. Closed heart, anxiety. That's exactly it. So all of a sudden, when we lose the object or the place of our love, our heart can begin to close down. We can begin to feel tension physically in our body, no energy, constricted. I love this inclusion. You guys are doing a beautiful job in the chat. And this is where acupressure comes in. Because when we start to physically feel the experience of our loss, acupressure then can work to help to ease the tension and ease the blocks so we can come back to that earlier experience of warmth and openness. So what's acupressure? It's actually one of the oldest written ancient healing techniques. Its earliest recording is over 3,000 years ago. And essentially, acupressure is finger pressure without needles. And there are over 360 different points on the body that affect the physical body, the emotional body, and our connection to spirit as well. So as we just felt in our body, nothing is just physical or just emotional. There's often a combination that occurs physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And these pressure points, they actually run along what we call meridian lines. And a meridian line is an energy line that runs up and down the body. And it has no beginning or end. It's kind of like a ribbon that's been tied into a knot and then folded back and forth so that the energy runs up and down the body. And the acupressure points are found along this meridian. And the meridian line is broken into 5 sections or 5 elements: earth, metal, fire, water, wood. Different than Ayurvedic, where we only have the 4 elements. In Chinese medicine, we have 5 elements: earth, metal, fire, water, wood. And each of these elements affect the physical body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body. So when we hold a pressure point along the meridian within this element, we are beginning to ease and move the energy so that what was stuck and blocked and rigid and constricted from loss begins to soften and open, and we can return back to our ultimate state, which is that place of love before loss. Each element has a Mr. and a Mrs. component, or a yin and a yang component. So, for example, the metal element has a section of lung and a section of large intestine. And the organ meridians that are part of this, it's not physically the organs, it's the organ acts as a metaphor. So if we're using heart as the organ meridian as a metaphor, the heart physically opens to feelings of love and anxiety. And it also, if the heart's out of balance, you're going to feel heart palpitations and you're going to feel a disconnect or anxiety in your heart. So here's a little illustration, hoping you can see this okay, of how the meridians run up and down the body. Can you see this? If you can just say yes in the chat so I can get a yes or a thumbs up. Yes, lovely. So you might notice there's different colors on this rainbow person. And that's because the different colors represent the different organ meridians. And I'm not going to go too much more into that. It's just kind of a brief overview of what we look at with fusion acupressure. And with that, so I'm just noticing there's a lot of background sound from the phone. Hopefully it's not too bothering for everyone else. With the meridians, with the fusion acupressure training, we learn about 100 different pressure points. So the element we're going to be looking at is the fire element. And the fire element, it just naturally kind of speaks to, thanks, Pam, thanks for that. It just naturally speaks to the idea of love. I mean, I always love to think of cultures and fiery cultures. And whenever I think of the fire element, I like to think of countries like South America, where there's lots of vitality and love and passion. And there's this beautiful energy that just births forward. And that's the quality of the fire element that we're going to be looking at today. Peace, love, intimacy, security. Someone wrote security about a feeling of love, even. Sexual pleasure, identifying our true self, laughter. And just like with any extreme or any joy or any love, there's the opposite that's true also. When it's out of balance, we have a feeling of anxiety or shock. We can feel scattered or overwhelmed, which is why I paused earlier when someone said they felt overwhelmed with love in their heart. When fire's out of balance, it almost burns too bright and it feels too big. The fire element shows up physically with oppression in the chest or frozen arms or an inability to kind of like open your arms and receive people, that frozen feeling. And it's a little bit of an unusual element because it actually has 4 meridians, whereas most elements only have 2. And it has 4 because the heart is our most vital organ. So it needs more servants in a way to help the heart stay strong and safe and true. And I mean, even if when you think about physically where the heart is in the body, it's behind the ribs and it's deep nestled into the lungs. And then it has another sac around it as well called the pericardium. And the heart is the seat of the emperor. It's the home of our spirit. It's our true self. The small intestine is the partner of heart. And this is the organ that functionally is all about assimilating and discerning. And so, metaphorically, it's also about discerning and assimilating. And then we have pericardium. And the pericardium is the meridian that runs along the arm. And it's actually physically a sac that wraps around the heart so that it protects the heart. And metaphorically, this is the bodyguard of all intimate relationships. So we're going to be looking at some points of the pericardium today. Because if the bodyguard is too rigid, then we're not able to let love in. And if the bodyguard is too relaxed, then we might be letting love in that doesn't actually suit us. We're missing the red flags. And then finally, we have the triple warmer. And the triple warmer is more of a function than it is an organ. It's more like the metabolism of the body. And just like the metabolism needs all of the organs to work together, the warmer needs everyone to be in harmony. It's all about how we get along with each other. It's about our social relationships. So when we talk about acupressure for love and this longing to feel warmth and open and intimacy and connection, we begin to see how much sense it makes to work with the fire element as a way of really opening these channels so we can let love in and melt away some of that protection. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually teach the next 4 slides as point location and a meditation. And the next 4 slides we have broken down into easing defenses. This is going to soften the protective, defensive part of who we are in the world. Then we're going to move into healing loss. And healing loss so that we can feel the courage and the spaciousness to let love in again. And then finally, once we've melted defenses and open to healing loss, we're going to open to love before doing a closing balance. So the first point we're going to look at is a triple warmer point. This is all about social relationships and defenses. And this point is 2 body inches. Now, body inch in Chinese medicine is the width of your thumb at the knuckle. So we're 2 body inches below the wrist crease. 1, 2. And then you're going to wiggle between the ulna and the radius, just in your wrist. Lovely. And just have a little feel around. It might feel tender on some, it might feel rigid or tight and protective on others. Just feel around until you get a sense that you're there. The next point we're going to look at is on our shoulder blade. So I want you to reach over your shoulder and just feel around to the top of your shoulder blade. And you might see on the illustration that it's halfway between the shoulder, the edge of the shoulder, and the spine. It's halfway along on the top edge of that shoulder blade. And the angle is down towards your toes. So it's like you're resting on a ledge there with one hand. So if you want to put your left hand and cross your body, and then rest your middle finger on the top edge of that shoulder blade, then your right hand is going to measure 2 body inches down and wiggle between your ulna and your radius of the wrist. And if you can't feel the points strongly, just rest your finger there and let the energy move through, because this is all energy that we're working with. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a moment and just see if you can soften through your shoulders. Just see if you can rest your arms against your body. Maybe breathing up into your shoulders. And as you exhale, softening your shoulders again. The wrist crease is the wrist point, the outer frontier gate is all about defending our energetic boundaries, deflecting, creating a force field around us where ultimately only love can pass. I'm going to take one more beautiful breath here. And just noticing what's happening in your body as you exhale. And then we're going to swap to the other side. I'm going to ask now that your right hand reaches across your shoulder and rests on top of that shoulder blade, and the angle is pointing down towards the earth. And then the other hand is going to measure 2 body inches down from the wrist crease, 1, 2, and then wiggling between the arm bones on your wrist. And closing your eyes again if it feels comfortable, just taking a few deep breaths in. This shoulder point is all about balancing resistance in life. Resistance to love, resistance to colds and flus. And my favorite saying around this shoulder is, how much of the outside world do you let in? And how much of who you are do you let out? And the magic of this is that we can play with the idea of vulnerability. Taking a nice deep breath in and out. And then slowly releasing your hands down by your side and just noticing the quality of your shoulders. Maybe the energy in the room has changed significantly. We're going to move now to healing loss. Pericardium is responsible for dealing with any and all heart or shock to the heart. So just like we held the outer frontier gate, we're now going to hold the inner frontier gate. And this is 2 body inches, 1, 2, from the wrist crease. But this time we have to wiggle between the tendons in the wrist. And it can feel a little bit weird at first. So I want you to hold your left hand on your right wrist just wiggling between the tendons. And we're going to hold that with a point just at the base of our breastbone. There's a little tail at the base of our breastbone called the xiphoid process, or the dovetail. And just beneath that, so I don't want you pressing on any cartilage, but just beneath that in the soft part of your belly, we're going to hold that either with the point of your finger or the flat of your hand, whatever feels comfortable. So one hand is going to be holding in the wrist crease, and the other hand is going to be holding over the abdomen, dovetail. And this lower abdominal area is a place in our body where all shock resides. Any unprocessed heartache or unprocessed experience. The yellow court. And the pericardium, the inner frontier gate point, this is very much responsible for easing any emotional blockage or any resistance around the heart. So let's take a nice deep breath into your abdomen, into your body. Noticing if you could name what you're experiencing, what words you might use. And then we're going to release tranquility. Yes, Enrica. We're going to release dovetail. And we're going to move, beautiful Lara, security. We're going to move the right hand now to our breastbone. And the point on the breastbone is directly between the nipples, as if you were flat-chested, right on the heart of the chest. So your right hand will be holding within the breast point, while the left hand reaches around and continues to hold inner frontier gate. And again, just breathing into the chest very gently. As we ease any tension. It helps to calm anxiety and lift oppression or heartache. You're going to allow 2 more beautiful breaths into your chest. Once again, noticing what you are feeling. You don't have to write it in the chat unless you want to. This is for you. This is your experience. And then releasing after your next exhale. We're going to change so that we now are holding the wrist on the left hand 2 body inches beneath the wrist crease, wiggling between the tendons of the wrist. And then returning your hand to dovetail for a few nice deep breaths. This is the upper abdomen. And just feel the quality, whether you want to put your middle finger directly on your abdomen or just rest the flat of your hand there. Just taking a few breaths. In and out. And on your next deep breath in, we're going to release the abdomen and move back up to the heart. And then holding that chest point, easing tension in the heart center. And after your last breath, we're just going to release the hands down by your side and just taking a nice cleansing breath in. Healing loss. So now that we've softened our defenses and started bringing energy through the meridian to heal loss, we can begin to open to love. And the Palace of Toil is the first point we're going to massage. And we're just going to massage this on your left hand. And this is the point smack in the middle of your hand. It's as if you had the hand of your lover or the hand of a child, and where your hands hold each other, is where this point meets. Palace of Toil. It's a wonderful point for any minor shock around the heart, but it helps to restore a sense of vitality for love, helps ease heartbreak. It helps it transform feelings of betrayal, and lift depression, and bring joy back into our life. And when you're ready, we can swap hands, massaging into the center of the right hand. Maybe closing your eyes if you feel like it, just noticing what you're experiencing in your body. What do you feel here? And then when you're ready, taking one last breath and letting go of the Palace of Toil, trusting that the pericardium meridian is now opened and the energy is flowing freely through the body so that we can open to love. Finally, the last point we're going to be learning to hold today is Heart 7 or Spirit Gate. And this point is directly beneath the little finger, just on the edge of the wrist. And you might find that there's some tendons on the wrist that you feel. We're just going to massage around those tendons. This point is very powerful with calming the mind. Even its name, the Spirit Gate, opening to your heart, opening to the seat of your heart. It helps to ease and release emotional stress, promote a sense of openness. And as wonderful as it is to love others, it helps you to receive love and let love in. And we're going to change wrists now, so we're on the little finger side, just underneath the wrist, just in that wrist joint. Just massaging very gently as we open the Spirit Gate, open to love. Inviting a few beautiful breaths into your body. Noticing how that feels to open to love. And releasing your hands down by your side. One of the most important things we can do when we open ourselves to the world and start to clear through these meridian points is to then balance the midline so that our head and our heart are aligned. In the Ayurvedic system, this is known as the chakras. In the ancient Chinese system, it's known as the central or the penetrating vessel. So I'm going to ask the right hand to rest on the top of your head very lightly, like a feather. And your left hand is going to meet your third eye, as if you were just resting, something so gentle. We're just going to close our eyes and allow 1 or 2 breaths, just feeling this gentle connection, allowing the mind to integrate any feelings or experiences that might have opened up. And drawing that left hand down the front of the body, we're going to rest just at the base of the throat, very gentle, just like a feather, so that we can speak our truth and listen to the whispers of our higher self. Releasing the throat, we're going to move our hand to rest on our heart center again. And now we're communicating between our mind and our heart, ensuring that they are on the same page. And then finally, we're going to drop the hands down. So one hand is on our upper stomach and one hand is on our lower abdomen, just beneath our belly button. And we're going to hold above the belly button and below the belly button for a few breaths, just feeling the warmth of your hands on your body. As a way of grounding and assimilating and integrating any energy that might have opened up for you with these few points. And then when you're ready, just releasing your hands. And if you feel like just typing into the chat, perhaps how this experience has been for you. Let's take a moment to notice how you feel, what experience you have here. Grounding and calming, a sense of security, sense of surrender, Jai, yes. That sense of gentleness, Kim, beautiful. And with that, there's this opportunity to notice that when we are open to love, when we are sitting in our heart, tingling, releasing, peace and contentment, imagine meeting love from this place. Sense of slowing down, connecting with my body. Lovely. And thank you so much. We're going to do a few questions and answers in a moment, but Henrika's just going to pop back on the screen. And then we'll open up to any questions you might have. So feel free to write them down in case you're worried you're going to forget them. We can come back to that.
Okay, thank you so much, Adria. I must say, I've slowed right down. I was practicing along and I was very enthusiastic out there, and now I'm like, thank you for that. So guys, I'll just take 5 minutes out of Adria's time to quickly share with you about her courses and also share with you that special gift that we announced. And then I'm going to hand back over to Adria. So all the questions that you do have, hold them for a little moment, because I'm going to put a couple of links into the chat box as well that you guys can copy and open if you want to access the information. So Adria, as I said before when we were starting out, has been a facilitator at Krishna Village for many years. Adria, how long now? Is it 7 years, 6 years?
I think it's been
Something
6
like
years.
that, right? And we always see her a couple of times a year at Krishna Village. So if you guys, and I saw that some people popped it in the chat box in the start, they are interested in this kind of work and they wanted to get to know Adria, they want to learn more. If you are keen, there are 2 different courses she runs, or 2 main streams. Number 1 is the short weekend that's called the 5 Elements coaching course. So this is more about talking about coaching and empowering people who are either already practitioners or want to learn to become kind of coaches to run either one-on-one or group facilitation courses. So that's a weekend introduction, and it's based on the 5 elements as well. So a bit of what you have been introduced to today, just much more of that. That's a short weekend. And then we have the week-long courses that are the Fusion Acupressure Practitioner course. And as an extension of that, if you want to take it even further, an advanced course in the same way. And those of you who are saying, oh, I kind of really want to do it, but I'm not sure if I'm ready, I'm not sure if I'm good enough or so. One more point, and then I'll hand it back over to Adria. Adria has also got the option to contact her in person. So here, this is the last link. This is to her website. This is a page where you both have the option to email her or also to access her calendar and book a 20-minute free chat with her. So if you want to have a conversation with her about the courses, about whether you're ready, about it's the right step for you right now, you can find her there. And I want to read out one last little thing, one really heartfelt testimonial from one of the courses. That's from Krista. And she says, Adria is absolute unconditional love and support. I could never thank her enough for helping me through the most difficult time of my life. It's so amazing to be shown the steps on finding the answers to all of life's adversity right inside myself. Sounds maybe a tad cheesy, she says, but it's true. And to be shown this is such a massive gift. There's nowhere else you have to look. It's right inside, and Adria works her magic and guides me every session. As well, Adria's Acupressure helped relieve a huge amount of my chronic pain from a work-related injury. When my friends and I talk about our sessions with her, we all agree that we are talking about the most precious jewel we've been lucky enough to find. So yes, it's a little bit cheesy, but it's so true. And I can say that, and I'm only a friend. I'm not even working with her in that way. So it's always really a blessing to be around your energy, Adria. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for listening to me.
Thank you,
now
Henrica.
we can come to the questions and answers.
Sorry, I don't know how to put my hand up. Can you hear me?
That's okay, Laura. I can hear you. Beautiful. Lovely.
Okay. That was really nice. I really enjoyed it. I feel really grounded afterwards. So thank you. I was wondering, do you have any suggestions of like a book to read at home on some of this information? I'm thinking about doing the course with you, but I would love to do some reading myself.
Laura, there are so many resources available. When I began doing this training 20 odd years ago, there was maybe one book, and now it's just rich with resources. So I would recommend one of two things. One, you follow your nose and let intuition guide you. And when you feel a book speak to you, just choose that to begin with. Because there's no right or wrong way to start.
Yeah.
In saying that, I also just finished writing the Fusion ebook, which is basically an outline or an overview of the Fusion Acupressure program. And that's available on the Fusion Acupressure website. I believe it's $34. And you can just download it and read it on your phone, or you could choose to print it off. I'd recommend black and white because it's over 80 pages. But that's also a resource. It's not, I'm not the strongest of writers. I'm much more of a speaker, but the information is there. So you can lean into it and learn and collect and gather and see if it speaks to you.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura. Thank you. Anik or Anik?
Annika.
Aniki. Oh, I was so wrong. I'm so sorry.
Annika. It's okay, Annika.
Annika.
Yeah, I just I'm a complete beginner, so the 5 elements course, is it more of somebody who knows some sort of pre-knowledge, or what's
so the 5-element coaching course, is that the one you're referring to?
Yes. Yeah.
So the 5-element coaching course, it's a deep dive into our psyche, and it's designed with 3 different lenses, Annika. So one lens is how to hold space for others, and some people here in the room have been offering this around Australia, actually, how to hold a circle so that people can come and you can share your knowledge around the 5 elements. The second lens that teaches you how to do one-on-one sessions. And the third lens, depending on what your intention is a deep dive into your personal discovery. And so the weekend is this really rich, intimate exploration of who we are and how we want to be. And it's using the 5 elements as the lens. It's very magical. I can't recommend it enough. Danielle says, I also highly recommend Adria's. Thank you, Danielle. So in terms of where do you start? Oops, pardon me.
Sorry, when is that next course coming up? I didn't catch a date.
When is the next course coming up? Oh, you think I would have thought about this before?
Let me quickly share that with you guys, Adria.
The 5-element course, March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is the next 5-element coaching course, Annika.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And in fact, I can just share my screen quickly again, and that has it.
Adria, also to add, I've just dropped the link to your ebook into the chat. So it's if anyone scrolls up 5-6 comments, the link to Adria's website and the ebook is there. And when you follow the links I've dropped earlier to the 2 courses on those pages, if you hit book now, it takes you to the section with the dates as well.
Thank you, Henrika. And okay, just to finish with that though, either training, whether it's the practitioner or the 5-element coaching, you do not need to have any experience touching bodies, working with clients. The students are so diverse. We can have some that are nurses, and we can have others that are massage therapists, and others that have never touched bodies before. And I believe, and I've had some students in the workshop that I saw that are here, everyone gets something from it, depending on what your intention is. So there's no right or wrong way to start your journey, Anna-Kay. Is that
okay? Thank you. Which one would you sort of delve into first then? Like,
oh wow, I'm going to stop sharing and see if any of my students are in the room. Would anyone, and they've done both courses, would anyone like to make any comments for Anna-Kay here, so that and Anika, I'm saying your name so wrong. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. It's all good.
So that she can hear your experiences. If you just want to tap it into the chat for her, that'd be lovely. I saw that I missed a class. Vanessa, I've held 2 classes of 5 elements just this last couple of weeks. Such a great course, and I'll be doing it again soon. Well done, Vanessa. So I saw a question here about the 5 elements in the Acupressure Fusion course. Yes, the Fusion course spends a whole half of the day exploring each element. So the mornings we talk about theory around the 5 elements, and we find the pressure points. Then after lunch, we do a bit of talk therapy. And then after that, we actually go into session exchange, where I'm there to assist and support you with each other. Pam, does that answer your question? Hope you're still here. Thank you. Okay, lovely. And the 5-element coaching course gives a little view, kind of like what we had today. The Fusion Acupressure course is a very big deep dive, as is the Fundamentals of Acupressure, which is this online course that's coming together at the moment for you. Christy, I find it beneficial to do the practitioner training first. Yeah, and I really think it depends on what it is you're wanting to take away from the experience. If you're wanting something just for your own experience because you want to deep dive and be held, or if you're wanting to, in fact, offer something to the world. Personally, I don't think there's a right or wrong way. So I'm happy to speak with you more about that, Anna-Kay, as we go. How much pressure and for how long should the points be held that we did today? Paula, that's a wonderful question. I would encourage about 1 to 3 minutes to hold each point. And when we're beginning with this work, I always encourage a slightly lighter pressure, because ultimately we're inviting energy. If you are working on someone because you want to bring this into your practice, for example, I would ask you to ask them how much pressure feels comfortable. I don't want you to hurt your fingers by holding someone if they ask you for more pressure. But if you're holding a point and they say that's a bit strong, then ease up. But always begin a little bit lighter and then slowly go deeper, rather than going really deep at first. If that makes sense to you, Paula. If not, please let me know and I'll try to re-explain it. Thank you. Okay. How do you know if you hit the right spot? Rachel, isn't that a great question? We spend 6 days talking about this in the Fusion Acupressure training because it really is a real question. The first few times, I don't think we always do know, especially when we're working on ourselves, because it's kind of difficult to feel it as much. But there often tends to be, whether you're working on a friend or getting a massage, and that person touches that spot and you're like, oh, yes, there. And what happens is the first few times we start using acupressure, we're not familiar with the sensation necessarily. So we hold in the area. But the more we hold these points, the more sensitive they become and the more they respond. So how do you know if you're on the right spot? At first, it's going to be a little bit of an intuitive game. You're going to measure 1, 2. You're going to wiggle between the tendons. And you're going to say, well, Adria said it's here. But tomorrow, if you come back to this point, after it being opened a little bit today, you'll feel more sensitivity. And the same is true for our clients and our friends that we work on. The more we work with the meridians, the more armoring that's removed, the more sensation we have on the pressure points. What's the maximum amount of people participating in the course? Maria, thank you. It's a wonderful question. This is where I personally prefer 10 to 12, and we don't have more than 12 students in the course. I feel that keeps the class quite intimate, and there's a lot of room for me to stay really connected with each of the students. So generally the class size tends to be between 6 and 12. Does that answer your question okay, Maria? Fantastic webinar. I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Paula. It's my pleasure. Thanks, Maria. Okay, great. Marianne. Hello, Marianne. You're still here. I highly recommend attending Adria's course. Looking forward to the Advanced Fusion Acupressure in June. I'm looking forward to having you back. Would you practice these daily? Oh, Rachel. God, that would be beautiful. If this is something that you're working towards right now for yourself, and you're wanting to like open more into your heart and experience a sense of security and safety, gosh, why not bring it into a meditation? And then my only invitation for you would be to imagine to what end, to what purpose. So I want to practice this until I feel a sense of security and calm, for example, or until I feel myself open to love. And then you'll know that it's time to come to the next webinar in a few months, which will be about being enough. And then we can practice those ones every day as well. I hope that answers your question. Okay, Rachel. Thank you. Oh. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. For those of you that are still here, I hope I get to meet you one day soon. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out via email. And thank you. We'll just ask you to slowly leave the room. Thank you. Thank you, Antoinette. I appreciate it.